it comes to having Thailand on my mind, the one thing that I love is the culture. Every time I go back to Thailand, I see something new whenever it comes to the cultural exchange. From saying Sawadee to the royal court names, I have seen so much influence of Sanskrit and of course India on Thailand that it makes me feel like it's my second home.
So Nutt, I love Thailand. Thailand's always on my mind, and I think whenever I have to have a quick vacation or just go somewhere to de-stress, have some fun, and I think the only place that comes to my mind is Thailand. And I've told you this a lot of times that I love Thailand, and I've gone to Thailand so many times. I cannot not kind of point out, or I definitely had noticed the similarities in terms of culture, in terms of our religious belief. So why don't you tell me something about the religious practices and beliefs of Thailand?
Yes. As we all know, Buddhism stems from India. In Thailand especially, we have received Buddhism via Sri Lanka. So it came to the southern part of India and Sri Lanka, right? And also along with that came the myth of Ramayana.
Yes.
Yes.
In fact, I have seen a lot of these creatures, I think, a lot of creatures inspired by Hanuman, Ravana, and
Yes.
Sri Ram, in fact,
Yes.
And I'm sure you can find these creatures in the temples of Thailand. And can you just tell me something about these? Are these like good omens? Do they have a religious belief?
Yes, so even though Thailand is a Buddhist kingdom, but in traditions, in ways people do things, it has been inspired by the ancient Indian civilizations, Indian roots. One of the most evident things is the Ramayana. We have our own version in Thai, is called Ramakien. And then from Ramakien, we have our own art, interpretation, literature. So it is reflected in various kinds of arts, wall murals, also the way we dress the characters. This especially is a monkey race which belongs to Ramayana.
Hanuman.
Yes, same race as Hanuman, but Hanuman will have white face.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is maybe his cousins, his relatives, and
His Thai cousins.
exactly. This is a miniature of Thai performers' clothes,
Wow.
which are displayed in a Thai performance called Khon.
Wow.
Yes, Khon. Khon is that mask dance,
Okay.
which depicts the story of Ramayana, but in the Thai version.
Wow.
It has been recognized by UNESCO
Oh, wow.
as an intangible cultural heritage,
Wow.
ICH.
That's
As
wonderful.
yes.
That's wonderful.
So this is officially part of our work under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Culture. So we promote this, and we are always aware that this is in the light of our ancient Indian roots.
In fact, I think what Ramayana, or what do you say, Ramakien?
Ramakien. Yes.
I think whether it's Ramayana or Ramkien, the sentiments of the winning of good over evil is the constant message that comes from both the mythological aspect of Ramayana and Ramkien. And I feel that I know, in Bengal also we celebrate Durga Puja. So Durga Puja actually has its roots from Ramayana. So they say that Ravan was blessed by Lord Shiva, that no man can kill him. So Ram did a puja of Ma Durga, and Ma Durga blessed him that he will win over Ravan to get Sita back home. And that's the same Durga Puja that Bengal celebrates in the month of October, I think during the autumn.
Right.
And I think there are so many cultural similarities, whether it's in the literature, in the mythology, or even in the food. Something that really makes me become a part of Thailand, something that resonates with my soul and which is the essence of Thailand, is the concept and the idea of sanuk. The fact that in every culture, in every country, we have a word that defines fun. I have seen in Thailand people will not do the most difficult job if they are not having fun. And I think that kind of inspires me to do whatever I'm doing in life. I think life for me is Sanuk here in India.
Right. So no, indeed.
Thank you.
My life also. So thank you, our Indian friends. Today's theme is about Thailand and India. So one of the things which we think when we have Thailand on my mind is Thailand and India's people-to-people relations. Today, I would like to speak to a Thai student who is currently studying in India. He is currently in the city in Bengal and is under our care. I'd like to show you how Thais see Indians and also reflect back on how Indians see Thai to promote better understanding among our peoples. Our guest, สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ
First of all, can you please introduce yourself? What's your name, your age, your class, your school, and how long have you been staying in India?
All right. My name is Teekawin Juntee. I am 16 years old. I'm class 9 now at St. Paul's Schools. I'm staying in India at almost 3 years.
Which city are you currently staying in?
I'm staying in Darjeeling.
Okay, so it's Darjeeling, northern part of West Bengal. Right. Next question. Why did you choose to study here in India? And can you please tell us what are the strong points of the educational system that we have here in India?
I choose study in India because I want to know study system in and Thailand, what is gap in there. Yes, and study here because I want to learn English also. Yes.
Okay, so one thing is about English. It's because you study here, you can acquire and better your English skills. Apart from that is about the educational system here. So can you please tell us more about the educational system here? Is it an Anglo-Saxon system? And what does it have to do when you go to universities, for example, in the British system?
When I study here, I know what which job I want to do, which subject and any other. So if I want to continue in university, I can easily to choose which subject and which in university.
Okay, so it's quite adapted to suit students who want to choose their career path early. They can choose subjects,
Yes.
they can choose what fields of study in the university and what you want to become of that after graduation. Okay, so this is very good. Also, if you graduate in your class 12, you don't need to take any exam for O levels or A levels in order to enter university in British Commonwealth system. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so that is an advantage comparing to the Thai educational system, because after we graduate with Mathayom Siksa 6 small hope, which is the last year of high school, If we want to go to a university in Anglo-Saxon system, we may have to take 2 years in order to pass O-level and A-levels. So that is 2 extra years needed. Whereas when you are in India, you don't need to study in that any further, because with your last year, you acquire the equivalence. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Next up, as you are a Thai student in India, was it difficult for you to adapt yourself to the Indian way of life? That's the first question. Next, what do you like most about India? And what do you think your Indian friends like most about Thailand?
As I'm like Thai student in India, right? So it's at first in the beginning, it's difficult like to stay here because like most of the Indian is different from Thailand. I like the people, like their kindness, like Thailand. Yes. In my with my friend, they always asking, what is Thailand do look like? The people in there is like India,
So they know.
and they are like yes.
Continue.
Alright. They always ask like, if I want to go to Thailand, which place and how like they can like alive in there.
Okay.
It's same in India or like it's easy more than India, I guess.
Okay. And what did you say?
I tell them it look like kind of India, but I think it's like easy to alive more than Thailand, more than India. Sorry.
Okay. So life in Thailand should be easier than in India.
Yes, because like the facilities and everything in Thailand is something is good more than India. Yes.
Okay. There are also beautiful places you can find in Thailand, but not in India as well. So it was difficult to adapt. You say because Thai people and Indian people are different. Can you tell us what are the differences that are very striking about between Thai and Indian people? What differences do we have?
I think their mindset. Yes, if someone like don't like Thai or Indian,
Okay.
they cannot be friendly and they cannot like good at all. Yes.
That's what you say about Indians, right? How about Thais? What are Thais like?
Thais like they always kind for sometimes in Thai people.
So, do you an opportunity to show Thai culture to your Indian friends and teachers during your studies? And you can tell us the details. Are some Thai words? Do you teach your friends some Thai words?
Oh yes, I'm teach them.
Yeah, that's something in Thai culture that you have showed them. So can you tell us the details?
When I met my Indian friends,
Yes.
they asked me like how to like we can say hello in Thailand, and I answer him like how we can say Swadi Club for boy and Swadi Club for girl.
Good.
Yes.
Good. That's a good beginning already. Right. So you see, as you are a Thai student in India, you can also act as an open door that let people come to see Thailand how it is. They can see Thailand through you. All right. Well, this year is 2021, and currently with the COVID-19 situation, actually many Thai students have returned home, right? But you, specifically, you, Mr. Teekawin, you have chosen to stay. So, can you tell us how do you take care of yourself in India in such a way that your parents do not worry about you?
I always told them like you don't have to worry because I'm in here. When I go out, in my home, I always wear masks. Yes. And before I'm touching or eating, before and after, I use sanitizer always.
Okay, so that's a good practice that you have, right? And you also ensure there's sufficient physical distancing between you and the other persons.
For physical distancing, when I'm talking for someone, I always talking like distance about 1 meter.
1 meter, okay, okay. Through your mask,
1 meter.
right?
Yes.
Okay, yes, that's the best way. That's the best way. And I'm sure Thailand and India will get over this together. So lastly, Mr. Teekawin, do you have any recommendations for other Thai students who may wish to come to study in India?
I have to tell you about, if you choose to study India, it's better in Thailand. Because if you come to study here, you will know in yourself what you want to study and what you want to be. Yes.
That's nice.
But for a life, you have to like adopt everything, because India is very different from Thailand. Food, like something like this.
Food, culture, mindset, mentality, also language, right?
Yes.
There are many
And
things.
maybe accent also.
Accent.
So,
Right. But now you are used to Indian accent in some ways.
right.
Okay. So thank you, Mr. Teekawin, for the interview. Today's discussion is under the theme India's influence in Thai traditional clothing. And we have a very special guest today. He is Dr.Surat Jongda, or Dr. Kai, Assistant Rector from Bunditpatanasilpa Institute under the Ministry of Culture, Kingdom of Thailand. He's known amongst our people as the authority person in terms of Thai and Indian culture and also traditional Thai clothing. First of all, how was India related to the Thai traditional clothing, and since when?
According to historical evidence, Thailand has been influenced by India in terms of clothing as early as 600 years ago. However, historians argue that India's influence could date even longer than that. The pieces of historical evidence we discover were the Royal Chronicles of Ayutthaya in Thailand and the testimony on the people of the old capital in Myanmar. They suggested that during the historical period of Ayutthaya Kingdom, there existed garment markets which sold clothes which were brought from Surat in today's Gujarat in western India. Apart from that, we discovered that people used to call a particular type of clothing as Yamawat. It came from the word Jamawa, which is a type of fabric believed to have originated in a big Indian village called Umdawat or Ahmedabad, which is nowadays the city of Ahmedabad in Gujarat, India. Since Ayutthaya period up to the reign of King Rama IV of Ratanakosin period, or about 150 to 600 years ago, the royal court regularly ordered custom-made garments with handwritten prints designed on cotton. Thais call these custom-made fabrics palayang. Examples of popular prints are Tepanom or deity with clasped hands and Narasingh or Narasingha avatar. These custom-made, custom-printed clothes were ordered from India by the king as gifts for noblemen who served the court and would be worn by these noblemen during prestigious royal ceremony or at the royal audience with the king. Those lavish fabrics with royal print custom-made patterns inspired Indian textile merchants, who then created fabrics with less intricate details for a more popular use by commoners outside the royal Thai courts. From the early years of Ratanakosin period, or about 200 years ago, up to the Second World War period, many textiles in Thai-style prints were imported from an India company named Muscati. During the Second World War period, German and other European companies took charge of producing printed textile in Thailand. After the Second World War and the departure of Germany, Chinese people took over textile industry in Thailand. Contemporary Thai print fabrics still contain traces of Indian influence, such as Hanuman pattern.
So that's a very deep insight about Thai and Indian clothings, indeed. So moving on, when mentioning the city of Kolkata, a city of joy, which is actually the Indian city in our Royal Thai Consulate-General in Kolkata's jurisdiction. This used to be the capital of the British Raj. Could you tell us how Thailand has been influenced by India at that time? In terms of traditional garments, among others, and especially after the visit of His Majesty King Chulalongkorn or King Rama V as a young monarch to Kolkata and many other important Indian cities in the year 1872.
As I mentioned earlier, up until the end of the reign of King Rama IV, we had been influenced by ancient India, especially in royal court clothing. Up until the end of the reign of King Rama IV, royal court dwellers wore shirts made ofผ้าเข้มขาบ or in Indo-Persian language, kim khap. They used fabrics with protruding texture as a belt. They wore clothes with royal custom-made prints or ผ้าลายหยาง. All of these traditional Thai garments received ancient Indian influence. King Rama V, as a young monarch, visited foreign countries and wore a mixed Thai Western style outfits. On his upper part were shirts with collars along with neckties and bow ties. On his lower part was Thai Jongkaben or Thai style equivalent of Indian dhoti. Our Thai Jongkaben is simpler and shorter than the Indian dhoti. King Rama V visited Kolkata in 1872. He was inspired by the way Indian officers under the British Raj were dressed, which was better suited for tropical climate like in India and in Thailand than Western outfits. The king then ordered that tailor in Kolkata made him Indian-style shirts to replace his Western-style upper outfits. The original cut was made long, for 7 buttons. The king later ordered that it be made shorter, for 5 buttons. And that's the shirt of Raj pattern, or in popular Thai name, Rajapatan. Apart from that, King Rama V's visit to Kolkata also inspired him to reform the royal court administration, which reflect in a reform in dress codes as well. Thailand's royal court administration went from a fourfold division to a more elaborate system of ministries, bureaus, and departments. Officers must be dressed in the color code designated for the ministry they belong in. For example, the color of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand is navy blue or indigo, which used to be the color of Kromata or the pre-reform royal court division in charge of trade and foreign affairs. That is why we also call this color in Thai Kromata color. Another influence from India was the use of khaki color. Khaki is a Persian Indian origin word which means the earth tone. Because India has essentially tropical climate, the use of black color like in more temperate climate is not well suited. The British thus chose this khaki color for Indian guards and officers. His Majesty King Rama V also adopted khaki color to be used as Thai civil servant uniforms, which we still see up to this day. I would like to add another Thai traditional clothing which came into existence from the reign of King Rama V onwards under Indian influence. It was what we call Yerabab shirt. The word Yerabab comes from the word Sarabab or Sarbab in Persian language, which means golden silk. These sarabaf shirts are made using golden silk brocade techniques on fabrics. The golden silk can be used to make brocade patterns and also decorate the collars and sleeves. It was general practice that King Rama V would grant these valuable Thai Jerabab shirts to noblemen and tributary state rulers under Thai protectorate. The fabrics used to make these clothes were also custom-made and delivered from India. If we take a look at the recent ceremonies of royal bark procession and royal land processions during our king's accession to the throne, we could still see that the Royal Thai Navy commander is still dressed with sarabaf shirts. The lavish lower part outfits of Thai Khon mask dance are also made of sarabaf clothes. Today, we still order them from Surat, India. Also, when we watch Thai royal news, we can see the Royal Thai Police who are dressed in traditional Thai lower outfits or jonggraben, which are ornamented with silver and golden fabric strips. These fabric strips were specially imported to embellish and give final touch of beauty to the Thai clothing. We also use these imported strips to decorate insignia of rank on the shoulders of the Thai civil servant uniforms, as well as the uniform hats. Let's say that Kolkata became the center of trade and development because it was a former capital during the British Raj period. But there were very ancient cities which had perpetuated trade relations with Siam or Thailand long before that, especially Surat in western India and some ancient maritime trade cities in southern India. I have been to Surat 4 times already. It was my curiosity which drove me to discover the original source of imports of many fabrics at the origin of traditional Thai clothing. During my visit, I discovered a shop named Kim Khap Wala, which has been exporting brocades, silver and golden silk threads, golden lace for Thai traditional clothing, and costumes for Thai Khon mask dance and Thai civil servants. I also discovered that these materials were mainly produced in areas around Surat. When I was in charge of costumes of actors in period series movie called Si Ayodhya, I also used fabrics bought from India, especially Delhi and Surat, because they correspond to the dress codes in our ancient kingdom of Ayodhya period of 300 to 600 years ago.
What I would say is that it's really fascinating, the history, all of this. So it is for us to discover. We have not unearthed everything about India and Thailand just yet. We would like now to go to the conclusion. So, Dr. Surat Jongda, how would you define the influence of India to Thailand's traditional clothing and royal court heritage from the past up to the present?
I always told my students that our region is an Indo-China cultural intersection. Indian culture and civilization for me are very significant and grandiose. They have played important roles in shaping almost all Southeast Asian countries. However, it seems to me that there is only one country that managed to preserve the ancient Indian culture and civilization in their pure forms and managed to keep unending contacts and linkages with India from the prehistoric period of 3,000 years ago up to the present day, and that country is Thailand. Many countries may have received Indian influence in their culture, but most of them lost contact with India, its original source. Whereas in Thailand, Indian diaspora, Indian culture still exists and have been deeply intertwined with Thai culture. One of the aspects we could clearly see is the traditional Thai clothing and garments. Indian cloth markets have been in Thailand and coexisted with Thai culture. And even nowadays, there is a constant need of fabric and other related materials from India for use in the royal court. in Khon mass dance as well as other traditional Thai performing arts and in Thai civil service. And those needs would perpetuate the exchange between Thailand and India, now and always.
So that's perfect. As a conclusion of today's discussion, India's influence in Thai traditional clothing, what we could learn about this is that Thailand and India is going to be together for long, and India's influence in Thailand is still there. It has been transformed, reinterpreted, and appropriated by the Thais, but still, we are connected to a source. I hope that today's the discussion would serve as an element to bring India and Thailand closer together, as is our attention, our intention from the Royal Thai Consulate-General in Kolkata. Today, we would like to thank our special guests, Dr.Surat Jongda, Assistant Director, Bunditpatanasilpa Institute, Ministry of Culture, Kingdom of Thailand, very, very much for today's insights. Thank you so much. ขอบพระคุณมากครับ สวัสดีครับ
Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Mann, Prach Niyomka. I'm the founder of Mann Craft brand, the wearable art textile with natural dyes in Nakorn province in the northeastern of Thailand. The unique style of Mann Craft is about the combination of creativity with traditional techniques, traditional skill, and local wisdom. With 100% natural dye, for example, the natural indigo dye from Indigofera tinctoria and Indigofera fruticosa, and also the flowers from yellow colors from marigold flowers, orange color from cosmos flower, and tree barks and mud. And also combination of the new technique like eco print, the modern dye, modern paint. The Thainess in my art and craft design is about to respect to nature, respect to season, respect to other, to people, and the way of life that we work together, and also respect to the customer with the eco-friendly production. I've been traveled to India 3 times. My first and my second times were in Kolkata as a tourist and the indigo instructor for Indigo Sutra Symposium at ICCR. And my third time was in Jaipur, Rajasthan. I had a wonderful time every time I visited India, especially at the marriage ceremony with the colorful and happiness people, full of beautiful textile, full of beautiful decoration and the beautiful culture tradition, and food and drink and musical. I had lots of inspiration every time I visited India, especially the tradition, the culture, the techniques, and inspire me a lot. For example, the flowers, the floral motif, the hand block print, the indigo dye, the mud dye, mud print, mud resist, and also the natural dye with flowers, with the leaves, the ingredient that very beautiful and impressed me all the time. I love India. I like Indian people. I love Indian culture. I love Indian food and all the smiles and the rich in everything, rich in culture, the architect, beautiful architecture, beautiful textiles, and the wisdom, very deep wisdom. And I would like to visit India again.